Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. In today's video, let's have a look at an approach to a hot weather airport in a heavy Boeing 737-800 with a very steep glide angle. In particular, we are flying towards Dalaman in Turkey, that's LTBS, outside temperature 30 degrees centigrade, and we have wind coming from the south, which means that we'll have to fly the localizer approach for runway 19 in Dalaman. This is what the approach looks like. The charts are, as always, Jefferson charts provided to the flight sim community by Navigraph. And for the approach itself, we have our arrival, Sonop 1 Yankee, and we have shortcutted this one towards Bunan, flying around the mountain on the right here, and then we'll join the final track towards Nafsa, from where we will start the approach. The approach itself is on here on a plate 11-3 from 29th of October 2021. We have frequencies 110.9, which are active on both radios, with the courses 190 and a minimum of 720. And since this is not an LNAV and VNAV minimum, we'll actually have to make this 760. So 760 like this. For the arrival itself, we have quite a steep descent in here. Let's quickly have a look through this. So let's dial in the next altitude, 9,000. And for the arrival itself, we have a rather steep descent, as we can see. Bunan at 11,000, then Atmon 220 knots maximum above 9,000. Then Bravo Sierra 811 above 7,100, Rota maximum 220 knots above 5,400, and then Nafsa at 4,300. Nafsa is going to be the final approach fix, and we're looking at a 4-degree glide on our way in, which means a very high rate of descent here. Ground speed 180 knots gives us 1,300 foot a minute on the descent, so we have Nafsa and 4,300, then we have the 10.3 DME point, Fox Lima, 3,450, which is here in the FMC at 180 knots, and then we have the 6.7 mile point from the localizer coded as 67 log at 2,150, and after that I have slightly changed the FMC routing, or the FMC waypoints rather, in order to resample our descent profile a little bit better. In other words, I've taken out the altitude restriction at the Mike Lima point so that the path can be calculated right down towards the runway. So that's the approach that we are going to fly. As always in the 800, we'll have to stay on top of what the aircraft's energy is doing, so we have to reduce our airspeed, as we can see right now. That didn't really work too well automatically, which can happen in the real plane as well, especially if the wind is not as forecast. Note that we even have a tailwind on our way in here, so getting our energy under control is the primary focus, as it basically always is. In our case, the speed brakes are not even good enough at doing the job, so let's get the flaps out as well. We'll keep 220 knots for now in order to catch the glide back. Remember, that's what I'm always saying, 220 knots with the flaps in 5 is a very good setting for the 737-800. You can see it's not quite easy to catch that glide, we're only nearing it very, very slowly. So next altitude 5,400 feet, let's put those in. A very good tool that we do have available, however, here is our vertical situation display, which shows us very nicely which altitudes we can make. So we can see on the VSD over here that we'll be able to reach the 4,300 in front of Nafsa. Then we can reduce our airspeed and start our final descent. Since this is a 4-degree glide path, we can very well see the reason why it is one if we just look in front. The airport's just over there, so we have quite a couple of hills in front of it. Since this is a 4-degree glide path, it is permissible to get the landing gear out earlier to get your energy under control. And on this particular approach, I would probably consider doing so. So let's take the gear down. Let's go into 8-hour descent, and now we are definitely going to have a nicer time catching our glide. Come on, NAFSA, 4,300 feet on the MCP. Now we can slowly start getting our airspeed back as well. The wind has just shifted from a tail to a headwind. That helps us as well, getting our speed down. Now, we can see on the VSD over here that green dot is where we are going to reach our target speed, and thereafter we are going to continue our descent. So, flaps 15. And we're approaching descent. 800 feet set. VNAV should switch into path mode when we overfly NAFSA, and speed intervent. There we are, VNAV path. Speed back towards the 15 speed. Speed brakes can come back in. And the important thing now is to monitor that the airplane is not gaining additional airspeed again. Flying a 4-degree glide with a temperature like this, we can see we currently have 15 degrees ISAR deviation. So this is a typical holiday bomber. We're looking at a gross weight of about approximately 65.2 tons. So pretty much exactly at the maximum landing weight. So this is about as steep as it gets in the 737. But we can see, with the gear down, flap 15, it's able to maintain the 4 degrees nicely. Even though, we also have to say that, terrain noted, even though we also have to say this is about the limit of what the airplane can do. In fact, it is recommendable, when you're flying an approach like this, that you start slowing the airplane down a little bit earlier than usual. So in our case, let's go to the landing flaps when we're actually 6 miles out, so that we can get our energy a little bit better under control. In this particular airplane we also have the heads-up display installed, and notice the 3-degree line is located far beyond the actual runway, because this is actually a 4-degree approach. So if we change this, which we can't do anymore since it's an approach mode, okay, so don't worry about that. But this serves to show you where the normal descent angle would bring you, and we can see that we are actually going quite a bit in front of it. So 6.7 Yoke is approaching, should be 2150. Looks like we're pretty much well on profile. And as we said, 6 miles out, we want to start to bring our airplane into the landing configuration. So let's go flap 25. We have planned a flap 40 landing for this one, to aid the airplane with the deceleration due to the higher angle on our approach. And flaps 40. Notice our ground speeds. Remember, from the approach chart we are looking at rates of descent that are going to be in the region of approximately 1,200 feet a minute to maintain our glides. And that is pretty much exactly what we're having here as well. So, setting the missed approach altitude, 4,000 feet initially, which is in. Let's actually disconnect the autopilot. What is a little bit sad is that in this particular scenery, the PAPI seems to be calibrated for 3 degrees. Continue. So the PAPI seems to be calibrated for 3 degrees, while the approach is 4, and that's why we get the 4 wides on the Papi. So speed brake is up, thruster was normal. High temperature, heavy weight, using second detent reverse. Actually maximum reverse. Manual brakes. And now we can let the airplane roll to the next exit. So as you can see, maximum landing weight, steep approach, high temperatures. This is pretty much the situation in which it can get very, very difficult to stay on top of the aircraft. And I would say this was pretty much maxed out in terms of what you could run into in the 737. Now, the 737 is not certified for glide slopes like in London City, where you come in at 5 or 5.5 degrees or something like that. So this is pretty much the maximum that you can actually do. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you found this one interesting. If you did, I'm looking forward to hear what you think of it in the comments below. And as always, if you do want to support the channel, I would be very happy about a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below. Until then, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.